All right, Kevin, back with you for another episode of the Million Dollar Relationships podcast. And today I am here with Nick Verge. Nick, man, welcome. Awesome to have you here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man.
This is going to be good. This is going to be good.
Yeah.
So, Nick and you and I met last year at that event in Austin that like Jesse and Nick and a few other guys, Travis, they all had kind of put this together. And there was, I don't know, there was a handful of us, I think like 40, 45 of us who attended that event in Austin. And you and I met at that event, and we've just kind of been friends ever since. And what I know I was sharing with you before we hit the record button, how much I love watching your Facebook posts, because Nick, I can only wish when I was your age that I had my shit together like you seem to have your shit. I mean, I'm not going to say you got your shit together all the time, but I didn't have my shit together half as much as you do when I was your age.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. I get that a lot. That's where most people know me from is from Facebook, and they've been watching my journey this whole time. So it's a very humbling experience, and it also really makes me grateful for just the people that I'm around to help me have these realizations at a really young age, because it's just rocket shipping my trajectory, you know?
Yeah. It is so cool to watch. And like, I don't, and I want to make sure I don't, like my own journey, I wouldn't trade it for nothing. It's been exactly what it's supposed to be the whole dang time. But it is cool to watch a young guy like you just do what you're doing. And so I'm really excited to have this conversation with you today and to introduce you to all the folks in my world. So what I'd like to do is just kind of start by letting you share a little bit, share a little bit about your background. What do you do? Who do you serve? What inspires you about the work you do? And we'll just kind of start there and give everybody a little bit idea of like, who is Nick Verge and what are you all about, Nick?
Yeah. So I think to most people in this digital marketing, internet marketing world, most people just know me as a copywriter, specifically for personalities and brands. I've done probably about like 25 million with my copy. About 10 million of that has been through email. About 15 mil of that has been through like VSLs and actually like call funnels usually. And so, during that time, I've worked with a lot of various different personalities. In that time, I've worked with people like Jordan Belfort, Alex Jones, who are like probably the most two controversial people I have that I've written for. And then I have a whole lot of people that you never know, but that are quietly like cashing out 300 to 800 grand a month with their offer, and who just use me almost as like a ghostwriter to write their scripts, to write their emails, to write their stuff for them. I think, there's tons of copywriters out there. I'm obviously not the best copywriter in the world. I'm a really good copywriter, but I think where I really stand out is my ability to get someone's voice dialed in and to really be able to create an intimate connection with the person that's reading the copy, because I don't like writing templated, formulaic, copy and paste type copy. Everything I write is completely unique and really designed around getting that person's core message transferred over to that person in a way that they'll actually consume. Because I find that a lot of copy, especially as of late, just due to the whole biz op kind of nature of things, where people are just getting started. I'm a certified email copywriter. It's like, dude, you've been doing this for a month. You have no idea what you're doing. So they just think I can just use these top template emails and that's it, just these copy and paste templates, and I'll get tons of clients. And the truth is that's like that. I mean, you can get people, but you're not going to keep those clients for long because you're not going to get them results. What gets results is intimacy and actually being able to craft like a well-written, because it's the thing. Like before copywriting and everything, I'm a writer first. I really enjoy writing. So that's like, I guess, a quick, 5,000 foot view on me. What inspires me is, I really just say it's growing. And one of the things I really do like about writing is that you can just see someone's growth as a writer, first of all, in their ability to articulate themselves and their ability to piece together a well thought out argument as to why something's wrong and why something's right, or whatever it is. Like when I look back at my Facebook post from like 2-3 years ago, I'm like, oh my God, I was an idiot. And so it's cool to see where I'm at now. There's so much more nuance in what I say. There's so much understanding of like the other perspective and taking that into account. So I think one, just seeing that growth in my writing, but also just growth in my personal life is the main thing that really motivates me. Because it's just, I think that we were put on this earth to achieve our own idealization of perfection, or actualization of perfection. And I don't think it's ever possible realistically to hit totally perfect, but the striving for that is just, it's what keeps you going. And it's like, oh man, this is a worthy goal to set in my life. So that's a lot of what just keeps me motivated, and being able to capture that through my writing, through other people's brands. Like, I really like working with people that have a message that's transformative, and they have a message that actually helps people solve problems. And we were talking about before this call, you really like my last Facebook post that I threw up. I just eventually got to this point, it was a few months ago. I'm only now publicly, sharing it. I'm just so done selling. I don't know if we're allowed to cuss on this podcast, but selling
Whatever
bullshit.
you want.
Yeah, just selling bullshit to people who are full of shit, and just for people who are full of shit, I should say. I think that there's no lack of people out there that are just selling, crap products that aren't unique in any way, that are general, just normal products. Like, they get it from like a white label thing. And not to shit on those people, but just me as a copywriter, I want to write for people that help inspire a change actually in other people's lives. So it's a narrow niche, but it's a deep niche, and there's a lot of really cool people in that space.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm with you. I love serving people who are making a big impact in this world, and who are some of the most giving, generous, lead with a helping hand people that just want to contribute, that they want to serve, they want to help others. And you're right, it's a little bit smaller niche, but so worth it, man. So rewarding working with those people and serving those people. So I mean, you are an inspiration to watch, and I love seeing these discoveries that you make along the way on your journey too and stuff. So now we've kind of got this context set here a little bit, and people kind of got an idea of who you are, Nick. Let's shift gears, and I'm going to reiterate the question for the benefit of the listeners. And so, have you ever been introduced to a person that completely changed the course of your life or your business, so much so that much of what you have today would not be possible if not for this person?
Yeah.
And I'm just really excited to hear your story, your experience around this, Nick.
Yeah, so many times. Do you want me to give like the specific person on that?
Whatever. Yeah, I mean, I want you to name them. I want to be able to honor this person. Are you thinking about one individual person right now?
Yeah, I actually think like a good way to explain it was like this. So I grew up at a very different age than a lot of people understand. Like, people really think that they'll ask me, I was like, dude, you're so young, you figured this out so young. Like, I did not have the same upbringing that a lot of people had. So when I was about 15, 16 years old, I discovered something called money Twitter, which is this portion of Twitter where all guys talk about is running businesses and making money. And I really didn't care about school all that much. I just started reading this because all I wanted to do was really make money so I could like go do things, because my parents didn't want to pay for stuff. And so I was like, well, if I'm going to go do stuff and I want to be able to eventually get my own car and all that type of stuff, like, I better figure out how to make money. So I started just looking at all these ways, reading all these books, and money Twitter brought me to this part of the internet as well called the fast lane forum. The fast lane forum was this first like experience I had in mentorship. And it was a very like, I'll almost call it like a detached mentorship, because you don't know the people that are posting. They always had like anonymous names and stuff, but Fastlane Forum was this area where 7 and 8 figure and 9 figure and even 10 figure business owners were posting about where they were at in life and how they got to where they're at, and sharing, realizations and missions and goals and everything. And I'm 15 years old reading this. And so I learned at a very young age that knowledge is power. And what's even more powerful than knowledge is doing something with the knowledge. Because that's what all these guys like nonstop harped on: just take action, just take action, just take action. So I took action nonstop, and from the age still to this day, but from that age onward, and that was my first time of having someone who was further ahead in life tell me what to do, and me seeing that when I listened to them, I got results. Nice. And so it's amazing really to have that with the internet, but it's another thing when you have someone actually in person, because then that person's not only invested in maybe your business growth, but they're also very invested in you. And so I had a lot of like mentors who, were kind of invested in my growth. But the one that's seriously been invested is Ron Lynch. I wanted to talk about Ron because Ron genuinely like changed my life. I met Ron actually through my friend Kyrie. So Kyrie left to go to Austin. I think it was actually his first time when he went to Austin to go meet his fiance, who's now, well, he's now married to her. So it was then his fiance, now he's married to her, his wife now. And he posted on Facebook, who do I need to meet while I'm in Austin? Everyone tagged Ron because Ron was like king of Austin, basically. And when he came back, the first thing when he came back, he told me, he was like, dude, this Ron guy, he was crazy. Like in a good way, he was so awesome. And he was just nonstop talking about him. And I was like, whoa, this guy's really cool. And so I looked up Ron on Facebook and then did a little bit of a Google search on him and saw that he'd written a book. And I was like, oh, I would love to read that and see who this guy is. And so I read his book. I went all the way through it. And then I just hit him up and said, hey, Ron, I read your book. By chance, could I interview? Because I had a small little group of like copywriters that I was like helping a little bit. And I said, could I interview you in front of my group? And Ron just said, sure. I was like, that was easy. Okay, cool. I thought it'd be a lot harder to get a hold of him, but he was just like super, super chill. So I had this call with him and it was like not what I expected at all, because we started talking about like God and like the connection to the universe and like what's actually going to happen and like where the trajectory of the United States is on. And I'm like, I was just thinking we were going to talk about marketing, but this went to such a deep conversation. And what Kyrie says I did here was I finagled my way in to the relationship, which I'll own it. I kind of did. So basically what he told me is that I'm going to dinner with Kyrie later this week when I'm in Arizona. And I just said, oh, I'd love to join you. So, and he was like, okay, I think he felt like I can't say no. And even Kyrie after was like, all right, whatever. He's like, you did finagle your way in there. So I had this dinner with him, and Kyrie, I just remember when we were driving there, he said, Nick, I want you to leave a good impression on this guy. There is nothing, because I was still young at this time. I must have been like maybe, I'm 23, but like 20 at the time was super young for me. So I think I was like 20 or 21. And Kyrie told me, because him and I had been working a lot on this, he's like, there's nothing you can tell Ron that's going to impress him. He knows everything already. Like, don't worry about showing off your knowledge or anything. Literally, all you need to do is just listen. And that's it. And that's how he'll like you. Just listen and ask good questions. And that's it. And I was like, okay, I can do that. So I had this dinner with Ron, and again, another like mind-blowing, just like him talking about, I think that dinner we talked about the banking system and how it works in the world. Totally irrelevant to like copy and marketing and everything, but just so fascinating. And it was at that point I afterwards joined his mercenary program, which if you guys don't know, mercenary is Ron's program training marketers, how everything that he learned over his entire career. I mean, Ron's done about $4 billion in sales for products. And so I joined that, and I'd like to say I'm one of the top grads that have graduated. I don't know if there's like a metric or anything like that, but I know that I definitely am one of the, at least one of the somewhat favorites, kind of. But
I feel like I'm one of the top.
I'd like to say I am. I don't know if I am. Ron could hate me for all I know. I don't know. But I know that he loves me. And so I think just at that point when he saw how much effort I was putting into mercenary and how I was like genuinely really curious on how to grow, I started to win him over a bit, and he really started to get invested in my growth. He would send me specific emails that I knew weren't like to the whole group that were to me. Based on a question I asked. And then really everything changed at that event that you and I met at. So I'll never forget this, that we're in this room and it was mostly copywriters there. Like, you were one of the few kind of offer owner, business owner types there. Most of the people were copywriters and marketers and stuff. And at break for lunch, like Ron's by himself and everyone else is just kind of like in their little huddles. And I was like, well, this is stupid. Like, let me go up and talk to him. And so I asked him, would you get lunch with me? I'd love to talk to you some more. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. So we got lunch, going back and forth. And this is really where I think the mentorship started. I don't know what he saw in me at that point, but there was something he said where I remember asking about like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where there's that, the different levels of it, like the pyramid. And I know at the top is self-actualization. And I said, would you say that right now in your life, Ron, you're at like the self-actualization phase? And I remember him eating, like, we had like shitty barbecue from the hotel, and it was like beans and, brisket. And he's like chewing on it. He goes, even worse. I was like, what? And he goes, I'm helping you create your self-actualization. So it's like a level above it, helping others create it. And I was like, dang, that's heavy, because Ron is so invested in helping other people grow. And at that event, he invited me back to his house, I think on like the second day or whatever. And ever since then, it was just this close, intimate connection where I would have something pop up in my business and I'd reach out to him and he would give me just the cheat codes, basically, do this and I'd do it and then it'd work. I'd be like, whoa, what the hell? This like works really well. And I just have grown so much as an individual because Ron has helped me see, like, how he explains it, at least, is what he wished he knew at my age, because he didn't figure it out until later in life. And so he's giving me the cheat codes, like, for now, and living vicariously through me and just kind of like split testing my results for me. And it's worked really well, not only from like a business perspective, but like a personal relationship perspective, a spiritual perspective. Like, I've had these long, hour-long phone calls with him where he sometimes is a little bit, I wouldn't say aggressive, but hard on me in terms of like, you know, the questions he's asking me, and he knows where I'm going to go with it, but he's just very invested in my growth. And so to create that relationship is priceless. Like, I talk about this all the time. Like, I would give everything in my bank account and then would continue to make payments on it just to have that connection, because it's invaluable. It doesn't, you can't even put a number on it. It's arbitrary. So for me, it's one of the most priceless connections I've ever created, and one of the most powerful things ever. And truly, like, I look up to Ron as Ron's almost like Uncle Ron or Grandpa Ron or Father Ron. Like, I don't know what he wants to be called, but he just has that deep relationship and impact in my life, at least. So yeah, if I didn't know Ron, I would be a below average marketer. I wouldn't really understand myself. I don't think my posts would be nearly as potent as they are now, because I wouldn't have the level of self-realization that I had. And exactly what Ron said in that moment at that mastermind, like, even worse, like, my job is to create self-actualization for you. You know, he's done exactly that in a very powerful way.
Wow. So what do you see as the biggest thing that has transpired that has not just served you, Nick, but has allowed you to make a bigger impact in this world, or that is going to continue allowing you to make your biggest impact in this world, that, you know, hands down would have never happened if not for your relationship with Ron?
Wow, it's like there's a lot there. It's hard to isolate one. I would say the main thing, if we're going to talk about like career wise, Ron made me understand that, like, I have to take my business very seriously. It's not messing around. It's not just like, oh, I'm just trying to make a little bit of money. Like, it's other people's money that have invested in me, and my job is to get them a result, and taking it extremely seriously and professionally as well. So, you know, I kind of look at it from the perspective of, like, when someone comes on board with me, I'm not like, I feel in the past, I would just kind of get started and I wouldn't really organize anything, and I just do what we needed to do. And what Ron really helped me understand is organizing everything that we're creating for a campaign or strategy, laying it out in what he calls a creative brief, being able to hand it to the client, then being able to execute on the campaign that we've created based on what we made inside the creative brief, and just being able to be very, I would just see almost like military-like in get this done, deadline, this one, and not having any excuses on deadlines or whatever. Hey, this isn't happening or whatever. Like, just being, hey, the deadline's tonight, either get it or don't, you know? And so I think that the level of seriousness that he brought to my business, because I think before I was just like, oh, I'm just a freelancer, whatever. But then I started to take it very seriously, because I realized that the only way for me to, one, like, you know, we could call it competition, but I don't really think there's competition. The only way for me to stand out is to just be better than everyone else. Like, I don't need to create flashy marketing with Lamborghinis and everything like that. Like, just be better than everyone else and people will hear about it. So it really showed me how to just, you know, to put it lightly, just how to care about the project, and how to really make sure that you show up in a way that is just like powerful for your client. So that would be maybe the main business way that it's affected every single person I've worked with afterwards. And even more so, like, people that come to me when they're asking me, like, you know, how do I get this client, this, whatever, like copywriters coming to me asking for advice, or media buyers or wherever, on like how to get clients. and or like what to do with their clients. It just always circles back to that. Like I see that core problem that I point out for people that I learned in Mercenaries. Like, dude, you are way too lackadaisical on yourself. Like you could be pumping out probably 5 to 6 times output of what you're at right now if you took what you're doing a little bit more seriously. You're not taking it seriously. And so Ron really helped me see that it's like, man, talent only gets you so far. And that's the thing that Ron realizes with Mercenary. Everyone that comes into Mercenary is talent, but he adds that like level of what almost like Kobe Bryant had. Like Kobe was extremely talented, but then outworked everyone. And so it was like that pair together got him forward. And so I think that would be probably the main thing that completely changed everything for me, is just that level of like, I have to work harder than everyone else. Not in like a harder, oh, it's difficult. Like I just have to be more focused than everyone else.
Uh-huh. So now I'm curious, so has your output multiplied now as a result of your choice to take what you do more seriously, Nick?
Yeah.
And the secondary part of that is, how much do you feel your output has multiplied? And do you feel like you're also working that times as much harder? Because I'm very curious to hear that as well.
Yeah, I mean, you stray from it, right? So it's like to think that you're gonna maintain the same level of productivity at all times, just like not logical. Like that's not how life works. We have seasons and everything. What it's done is it's set a base standard, because I'll have times where I load up on client projects. I'm just kind of like, I need to get these done and everything like that. And so I'm just focusing on getting the projects done, and I'm just getting them done. And then maybe I'll like slack a little bit back in terms of now wanting to go take on more projects after that. I want to have a little bit more time off, time to like relax and just spend time thinking, okay, what's my next move and what do I want to do? And then go back out to like bring in clients and choose and everything like that. And so, I definitely think that it's increased the productivity and the workload by, I can't even put a number on it. Like I said, it's kind of arbitrary, inside of my own business when I'm like working for clients, because it just made me see that. I remember we were one time in Austin, and, he was talking about how he thinks it's hilarious when copywriters are like, I can write a sales letter in 2 weeks. He's like, cool, I can write a sales letter in 45 minutes and it'll probably be 10 times better than yours. He was like, it's not about spending as much time as possible on it. It's about getting really good so you can get it done fast, because people want things done fast. They don't want it done like, oh, give it to me in like 3 months. Like people don't like that. So it made me also see, dang, like I can work a lot faster. I'm just like making things stretch out more than they need to. And then what was the second part? I spaced on the second part of your question.
Well, so, okay, so you're more productive, and you just answered it too, is that, being more productive, is it also taking you that much more time, as well and stuff. And you just kind of answered that because,
yeah, it makes it easier, I think, because as well, when you're taking it more seriously for the work, like I'm not, when I'm working, even earlier today, I was getting some client copy done. I'm not half on Facebook and do over here and like, let me right over that. I don't really care. Like, no, I'm extremely structured with like even my time. Like I get a timer out, bop that. Like I'm going to sit here for 4 hours and just block this time out and get this done. And I get more done in like 4 hours than honestly a lot of people get done in like 3 days. So I think that came from me, like what I was saying earlier with it sets a standard. Like when I'm in work mode and I'm really in work mode, what I think I've learned through Mercenary and Ron is it set a bar of what that needs to look like. And anything below that, my internal voice is yelling at me saying, what are we doing? I'm like, come on, dude, this is not peak output at all. And so it sets that standard, which kind of like almost serves as a judge to make sure we're always performing at that output. When we are working. And then, also realizing that not all of my time needs to be spent in work, especially with the stage that I'm at right now. A lot of my time should be spent as well, like in introspection and discovering more about myself. And so, it's also, I think, redefining what productivity is. That output doesn't necessarily need to be work done. I think it can be thought and things contemplated and stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. Well, Nick, I really appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation. And for anybody listening to this, that's like, dang, Kev, I really like that Nick guy. I love the way he shows up. How can they find out? I mean, maybe, who knows? Maybe they're curious about even potentially having a conversation with you about potentially hiring you. I mean, what are some resources do you have you can let them know about?
I just think the best thing is Facebook, because I even tell people with copywriters in general, if you really want to get a feel for if a copywriter is good or not, is just go look at their Facebook wall. Like I find the best copywriters can really, really well articulate themselves in their own personal brand. So Facebook, Nick Verge on Facebook, Nicholas Verge on Facebook, you'll find me. Yeah, I mean, just follow me on there and shoot me a message. Like I open up almost every single message, and I spend a solid amount of my time just talking with people on there because I love that community. I mean, it's fantastic. You obviously have the odd cold outreach pitch that you get from people here and there, but for the most part, it's just a chill community that I think everyone kind of is on the same understanding of networking and wanting to network and everything like that. So if you want to hop on a call, even just to chat, just shoot me a message and we could set something up.
Nice, awesome. Yeah, I kind of, Facebook has served me pretty damn well over the years. I ain't gonna lie. So.
Yeah, it's great, man. Yeah, if your demographics on there and you can be able to write and talk and you can do that, man, it's powerful. I think personally, like how I explain to people is you've got like TikTok, which is like crack cocaine. And I stay off of TikTok. I don't really like it all that much just because of that like level of, oh my God, like I'm just addicted to like scrolling. Then there's Instagram, and nobody really, everyone's on Instagram kind of, but I don't really see a whole lot of people that I'm trying to connect with on Instagram. It's a lot younger people still. And then there's Facebook. And I think that you have like Facebook, LinkedIn. LinkedIn has just become this spam thing where it's everyone just getting spammed all the time. Facebook to me seems to be like the last like nirvana of genuine business owners trying to connect with business owners, especially in the IM like digital marketing space. It's all over.
Well, very cool. Well, Nick, any last thing you want to share before we call it a wrap? Or are you good?
Join Mercenary. I don't have an affiliate code. Just if you want to have the best education in marketing, join Ron's Mercenary program. Like it's changed my life. It could change yours too. So I'll harp on that, and that's it.
There you go. Well, good plug for Ron there. While we're at it, because I love Ron too, and I got to put in a couple thoughts regarding Ron, because I will tell you, that guy is wicked smart, man. He is so freaking smart. And I don't even remember, well, I'm sure we met through, because he and my mutual friend, Jesse Elder, and that's how I'm sure we originally connected. And I've been doing these virtual events and in-person events for years. And I've been trying to get Ron to come to one of them. And he comes up to his Seattle pretty regular. And he was originally from this area. And so I was trying to get him to one of these events I was doing in Seattle. And I'm like, this buddy of mine was offering up his 65-foot yacht for us for the day and stuff. And I thought, I said, I'm going to invite Ron. I said, this will get him because he'll want to come hang out on the boat with us, Yeah. And so I invited him. I was telling him, I was like, my buddy Mike's got this yacht. Ron, he's like, he gets back to me and sends this audio message. And he's like, Kev, he said, nothing against you, man, but man, I just don't, he's like, I don't like the idea. And I can't put myself in the position of being stuck on a boat for multiple hours with people that I wouldn't like. And so this whole thing that I thought was like, oh, he'll love this, was the very thing he was like, I don't want to do this, man.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, man, he knows, like he gets it. He's not in the interest of kissing butts. He doesn't want to, he's very, very raw and real, and he'll let you know about it too. And even if he doesn't like you or whatever, he's not going to be a jerk to you. He just won't talk to you because he has no interest in dealing with people like that, which I think is very admirable, just having that much like respect for one's time and energy. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, the first event I did get him to was, it was actually 3 years ago today.
Oh, wow. Halloween, huh?
And it was in October of 2019. I was doing an event in Dallas, and he drove up to attend.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And I'll tell you, when he shared at that event, he absolutely blew everybody away by what he shared.
He has a tendency to do that. Yeah.
Oh, he does it all the time. Shit,
Yeah.
when I interviewed him for this podcast, he blew everybody. In fact, you should go check out what he shared on this podcast. I mean, he blew
Yeah.
everybody away there too, because that's just who Ron is and what he does. He's a giver through and through, and he's so damn bloody smart. You know, he's got
That's
like
for sure.
he sold billions of dollars worth of products. He knows what the hell he's doing. You know.
Oh yeah.
And so,
And even just outside of the marketing side of things, like just the life insights that he has is very unique, that very few, like just what Ron has experienced in his lifetime, you can't replicate it. So it's, you know, anyone who's thinking of like, oh, you know, watching this podcast, like, man, I should connect with him. Absolutely. You should connect with him.
yes.
And be genuine. Just don't try and posture or anything. And he'll more than likely be more than happy to talk to you. But I just know Ron, he hates, let's just call it fuckery. He hates fuckery. He doesn't like any of that. He'll instantly shut you out on that. So you got to be like humble when you approach someone. Don't, oh, this is who I am and this is everything. He doesn't care at all.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Well, Nick, you know, thank you much for taking time to have this conversation. I think it's awesome that you got to honor Ron. I mean, you know, and I'm going to make sure we share the recording of this with him so he can let us so he can know how much us two guys really love and appreciate him. You know,
I'm sure he'll be happy to see that. I'm sure it'll make his day.
Yes. Well, thanks again, Nick.
Absolutely. Thanks, man.